Is going on, people? This is DerekJ Speaks, here to talk to you about the WWE Royal Rumble 2025, live from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, the official first stop on the road to WrestleMania. And after tonight, we have a clearer picture as to who will be going to WrestleMania, vying for the women's and men's world championships. We have two Royal Rumble winners in Charlotte Flair, and for the men, main event JEY Uso, to the shock of many people. Of course, the Charlotte win is not much of a shock to anyone, but the JEY Uso win, just judging by my timeline, was a huge shock for many. But it made for a very entertaining final few minutes of that Rumble match when it came down to JEY Uso and John Cena, after a whole bunch of craziness went down with a lot of the other big names in that match, including CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. We had a final three of Jay, Cena, and Logan Paul, which definitely caught me off guard. But obviously Logan Paul got taken out pretty easily, and it came down to Cena and Jay. Of course, Cena gave the endorsement to Jay after the match, but yeah, JEY Uso, a man who many people slept on. Many people did not expect him to be the one to get the win tonight, but he did, and he is going to WrestleMania. No doubt in my mind, he is going there to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is a man who has faced Gunther many times in the past. He just faced him a week ago prior to this recording right now at Saturday night's main event. He faced Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship and he lost. Something he has done every single time he has faced Gunther, he has lost. So now there's a good chance he's going to choose Gunther at WrestleMania, challenge him for the World Heavyweight Championship. And if you had very interesting thoughts tonight on JEY Uso winning the Rumble, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens at WrestleMania. But we'll get more into that later. As I also mentioned, Charlotte Flair. She made her big comeback. They've been hyping up her return with vignettes on TV for the past several weeks. So we knew she was going to be there. And yes, Charlotte Flair won the Rumble, her second Rumble, and she is going to WrestleMania to challenge for a championship. And yes, there were many women in that match who easily could have won, who probably should have won, who many people would have preferred to see win. And the idea of Charlotte Flair going to WrestleMania to challenge for a title was very obvious, and many people, myself included, were hoping they'd figure out some other way to get her in that spot. But this is what they chose to do, and we'll get more into that as we go along here too. We also had two matches. I was going to say some matches. It was just two in the middle of the show. We had a 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE Tag Team titles for the first time since WrestleMania last year. The tag team titles were actually defended on a PLE, and it was a really good match between DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns. And we had a very brutal, violent ladder match by WWE standards between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, in what had to have been the blow-off to their feud. With the way Kevin Owens was looking after this match, there's no way this feud could possibly continue. That was a blow-off for sure. Cody basically murdering that man. But we will get into all of this. Let's circle back to the beginning of the show, which was the Women's Royal Rumble match. The match kicked off, the first two entrants being Io Sky and Liv Morgan, who both ended up being in the match overall for a very long time. In fact, Bayley's record for being in the Women's Rumble for the longest time got broken 3 times in this particular match. These two broke it, and then someone else later broke it. In fact, number 3 broke it, that being Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez made it all the way to the final 2 in this match, and she is now the official record holder for the longest time spent in a Women's Rumble, so hats off to her. She had a good showing for herself in this match, made history, and was in the final two. And in that final two, you had people, both in the building and online, who were pushing for Roxanne to get the win there. Never in my mind did I think that she stood a chance, but it was cool to see her in a position like that. Other people, other names in this match, we had Lyra Valkyria come out, who unfortunately had a bit of a wardrobe malfunction when she came out there, but good guy Liv Morgan kind of kicked her into the corner, and then they didn't focus on her, so that gave her time to fix up her outfit there, so that was cool. We had Chelsea Green come out. We had B-Fab, Ivy Nile, Zoe Stark, Lash Legend, she came out there, Bianca Belair, Shayna Baszler. Then we had Bayley show up, Sonya Deville. Of course, by this point, Sonya, Shayna, Zoe, all members of Pure Fusion Collective. Still a horrible faction name. But the three of them teamed up, and the story for a little while in the middle part of this match was the three of them teaming up on everyone and everyone fighting them until eventually they were all able to be taken out. So, not the most exciting aspect of this match, considering Pure Fusion Collective is not the most exciting faction, but you get what you get. We had Maxine Dupree come out at one point. She eliminated Ivy Nile, so they're keeping that interaction going. Ivy Nile also eliminated Lyra Valkyria, so that's surely going to set up a future Women's Intercontinental Championship match between the two of them, probably on an episode of Raw in the future, but that seemingly set that up. We had Naomi come out. We had Jada Parker from NXT. She made an appearance here. Not the first or last NXT person. Well, I guess Roxanne technically was the first NXT face to be in this match, but I don't know. I look at Roxanne as being on her way out, but, you know, she's still technically in NXT. In fact, she is going to be challenging for the NXT Women's Championship in the coming weeks on the next NXT special event, Vengeance Day. So, we had Roxanne earlier, then we had Jada Parker come out here. Piper Niven came out and was seemingly out there to give the assist to Chelsea Green, but Piper ended up accidentally eliminating Chelsea Green in a pretty funny spot in the match. We had Natalya come out at number 18. Number 19 was Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace, of course, appeared in the Rumble match last year, representing TNA as the Knockouts champion. This year, it was one of the worst kept secrets. Everyone knew the ultimate destination for her was coming to WWE, and to the surprise of no one, she is officially signed to WWE now, and this was her debut. Now, I'm not sure if she's going to be competing in NXT, because that's mainly where we've seen her compete last year when she was representing TNA. I suspect that she might be on the main roster, but we shall see how that plays out. We did get a really awesome spot with her. It got the fans really into. She already had a good reaction when she came out, but when she lifted up Piper Niven and hit her with a Death Valley driver, that was one of the biggest spots of the entire match. Even got a holy shit chant, and also got a holy shit call from Pat McAfee on commentary. And then after that, we had Michin come out at number 20, and then number 21 was the returning Alexa Bliss, who easily got the biggest pop out of everyone in this match. Commentary laid out, they didn't say a word for the first few moments and seconds of her coming out. She got a huge reaction. Of course, everyone knew, or not everyone, but a lot of people have been reading the reports online about her and her contract negotiations with WWE. Commentary, I believe it was Wade Barrett and either McAfee or Cole, some of them were even pointing out how all the dirt sheets were wrong. I think Cole said that, like, oh, the dirt, I read online that she was never coming back, and then Barrett said something about the dirt sheets or whatever. So just not really necessary in my opinion, but you know, Dave did say in a very recent report that Alexa and WWE were very far apart on negotiations. So, hey, unless they just earlier today came together and formed a new deal, either that or Dave was proven wrong once again. But really cool to see Alexa come out here. She had eventually got eliminated by Liv Morgan deep into the match, and that was a pretty cool little tease there. Maybe that's a future direction they might go in. Alexa versus Liv Morgan. That could be very cool. Very interesting to see down the line. So, really good. We had Zelina Vega come out, Candice LeRae. Around this point, I was scrolling through my Twitter and I saw on PW Insider that they posted a report that Jade Cargill was not backstage at the event. So by this point in the match, I was thinking in the back of my mind that Jade Cargill would come out. We'd get some type of big continuation with the story with her. Naomi and Bianca were out there. That story would play itself out in this match. It did not. And once I read this, I immediately took that out of my mind as a possibility to happen here. So then at number 24, we had Stephanie Vaquer, who of course is in NXT, one of the hot signings last year. She got a pretty good reaction when she came out. Speaking of good reactions, number 25, Trish Stratus. She came out and she was wearing very similar gear as she wore when she first debuted in the company many years ago as the manager for TNA. Nice little reference from Michael Cole. Of course, that was Test and Albert back in the day. Number 26 was Raquel Rodriguez, which was interesting given the fact that they were hyping up, well, heading into the match, Liv was talking about how she was going to be protected by Raquel, but Liv came out at number 2 and Raquel came out here at number 26. So a little late for the protection, and it didn't really work in the end, but it is what it is. Number 27 was, of course, Charlotte Flair. And then number 28 was Julia, the brand new NXT Women's Champion. She just won the championship at New Year's Evil, the NXT show recently. Number 29 was Nia Jax, who, of course, drew the attention of everybody who was attacking her and was the big dominant force in this match, as she always is. And then number 30 was Nikki Bella. There have been reports about her, too, recently, that she is making a comeback to WWE. We saw her in the crowd at the Raw Netflix premiere, and now she might be officially back in the WWE family. So this was her first appearance here. There was a huge kind of cluster spot on the apron that involved Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Raquel Rodriguez, Naomi, Liv Morgan, all these people. And they were all kind of fighting, and they're all trying to save their places here. But in the end, Nia Jax came over and just shoved everyone off, basically, and all of them got eliminated. So for me personally, my top 2 picks, Io Sky, Bianca Belair, gone just like that. And as I looked back in the ring, I saw people like Bayley in there who did come out. I think I missed saying her name earlier. She was in this match, of course. Bayley was in there. Charlotte Flair was in there. At that point, it was very obvious who was going to win. My 2 top picks and my dark horse pick, Jordynne Grace, she was already gone by that point. So yeah, it was very obvious to me that Charlotte Flair was going to get the win. I was afraid it was going to come down to Charlotte and Nia, but Nia was able to get eliminated, and then it came down very briefly to Charlotte and Roxanne Perez. But in the end, Charlotte dumped her out and got the win. So good for Charlotte. She did miss an entire calendar year of competition. She got a really bad knee injury in December of 2023. I'm sure she was factored into some plans for WrestleMania last year, and those plans went out the window. She has been gone for several months. I think she's been cleared for a while, and they were just playing the waiting game on when they wanted to bring her back. But yeah, she fought like hell to return. I'm very glad she's back. She's a big name for the women's division. The women's division on the main roster and in NXT, collectively very stacked. Separately on the main roster in terms of Raw and SmackDown, individual women's rosters on those shows, not the strongest. So bringing Charlotte Flair back, especially on SmackDown, which right now needs a lot of help. So putting her back on that show definitely is a huge pickup for WWE and Triple H to use. And it is almost inevitable. We are going to get Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship. I think a lot of people could have predicted that was going to end up being one of the championship matches for the women at WrestleMania this year. However, I personally don't think Charlotte Flair needed to win this match in order to get there. I think whoever is going to challenge Rhea on Raw for the Women's World Championship easily could have won this match. I think Io and Rhea for WrestleMania would be incredible. I think Io winning this match would have been great. Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley is a huge women's match that has been built up. I mean, not really that much on TV, but it's been teased here and there. It's one of the biggest women's matches they could do. Bianca winning, who, to show I'm not against Charlotte Flair winning because she already won a Rumble match before, because Bianca has previously won a Rumble match. In fact, Bianca won the year after Charlotte won her first one. So I wouldn't have minded seeing Bianca get the win here. Jordynne Grace, a dark horse pick. What a way to strap the rocket to her back, having her come out there and win the Rumble in her official WWE debut. That would have been cool too. But they went with Charlotte. And you know what? I can sit here and I can complain about, oh, they should have did this. They should have had this person win and that person win. There's no use. What's done is done. The ultimate destination was going to be Charlotte Flair getting a championship match at WrestleMania. This was the easiest way they wanted to do it. They wanted to bring her back in a very strong fashion. We've seen this before. We've seen people make surprise returns in the Rumble, coming back from hard injuries and winning and going on to WrestleMania. We've seen this with John Cena. We've seen this with Edge. We saw it with Cody Rhodes. In fact, very similar to Cody Rhodes, Cody was injured, and then they hyped up his return for several weeks, and then he made his return in the Rumble match, very late in the Rumble match, and he went on to win and challenge for the title at WrestleMania. They did a very similar thing here with Charlotte, and you know, it is what it is. They could have had her lose here, and they could have waited till the Elimination Chamber, where we all would have predicted that she would win. What's done is done. There's nothing we can do about it. No sense in really complaining about it, you know. So people are going to be upset about it, obviously. I'm not the happiest about it, but it is what it is. And as for the Rumble match itself, it was a little kind of dull for certain parts early on. But then as it got down the stretch, it was pretty entertaining. I found a little more entertainment in last year's Women's Rumble, more so than this year's. And between the two Rumbles this year, between the men and the men's blew this one out of the water for sure. Like, this one was pretty good. The men's one was great, in my opinion. It was great. So, you know, a little bit of a downgrade here, but not bad. Just a pretty decent Rumble. Very good, very entertaining at certain points. And Charlotte Flair getting the win is what it is. From here, we went into the Tag Team Championship match, the 2 out of 3 falls match. It's going to be an uphill battle for these two teams following a long 60-plus minute Rumble match, but for their part, they did a very good job here. DIY scored the first fall. They did a cool spot where Gargano faked out a tag to Ciampa, and Ciampa hit a high knee on Sabin and got the win. Well, got the fall, I should say. A little bit later on, after mixing it up for a while, the Guns hit Skull and Bones on Gargano and picked up the second fall. So both were knotted up. As the two teams went at it, the fans, who cheered mostly, gave a reaction at certain points earlier in the match. They really got into it down the stretch on this third fall here. But it felt like they could have pushed it a little bit further, and they kind of didn't, because right where things were really picking up, we had the surprise return of the Street Profits. We had on one side Montez Ford in a hoodie, and on the other side it was Angelo Dawkins, who hit one of the machine guns, I think it was Sabin, with a crutch to the back, and that screwed them over. Ciampa and Gargano hit meet in the middle and got the win, retained their titles. Good match. Could have used a few more minutes right when the fans were like really at their highest point into the match. The interference, meh, but it set up something with the Street Profits here, as they, after the match, attacked DIY. They both used a crutch on both men. And then Dawkins also said something on Twitter about dirt sheets or whatever. So I don't know what this company's obsession is with going after the dirt sheets, but they were doing that stuff here. But yeah, so this is pretty cool. I'm very intrigued by the idea of a triple threat match involving these three teams. I have to assume that will be the WrestleMania match. Maybe the Street Profits will get a one-on-one or two-on-two match with DIY first, and then that'll break down, and eventually we'll get these three teams. Maybe they'll throw in a few other teams, of course. Elton Prince and Kip Wilson, Pretty Deadly. They've been playing a role on SmackDown recently, so maybe they'll be involved. There'll definitely be some kind of multi-team match for the tag team titles, the SmackDown tag titles at WrestleMania of some kind, I'm sure. Then we had a bunch of filler, because a lot of these WWE shows have a lot of filler. This show overall was about 4 hours plus, and you look at some of the stuff here in the middle where they were just showing video packages. They were showing Pat McAfee NFL highlights. Okay, they were showing people in the crowd. A lot of this kind of fluff that they do on these shows. And you look at that, and then you look at the time. You look at some of the matches that could have went longer. Like I said, the tag team title match could have benefited from a few more minutes and maybe take away from this extra fluff here. But, try to bring the crowd down a little bit so you can bring them back up and all that. And as I sit here, I look over and see the post-show press conference, and I just saw them show a headline that John Cena will officially be competing at Elimination Chamber I assume, in an Elimination Chamber match. Now, like I said, JEY USO won. I suspect that he's going to be challenging Gunther for the world title, so you have to assume the men's chamber match will be to determine the number one contender for Cody and his championship. So, could John Cena find his way into the WrestleMania main event somehow by challenging for Cody's WWE title? Potentially, if he wins the chamber. We'll see. But before we get to that, speaking of Cody Rhodes, he defended his championship against Kevin Owens in a ladder match. As I said at the top of the video, very brutal. This is not one of those ladder matches where you got both guys doing these crazy dives and crazy moves off the top of the ladder, like these high-flying stunts, basically. No, these two beat the hell out of each other with this ladder. Both men were taking some insane bumps. I can't even recount all of them, but there were some crazy spots used between both men in this match. At one point, Kevin Owens attempted a pile driver on Cody, and Cody kind of backdropped him, tossed him overhead, and Kevin landed on a ladder, but like on the edge, on the top part of the ladder. The way his spine just hit that part looked absolutely disgusting. We had Kevin Owens pull Cody off a ladder and then powerbomb him onto a ladder that was laid out horizontally under the bottom turnbuckle. Again, absolutely brutal. There was just no give to this ladder, so he just slammed right smack onto it. A little bit later, both men were up top. Cody was trying to go for a superplex on Kevin Owens, but Owens countered it and hit Cody with a fisherman buster off the middle rope down onto a ladder bridge, and both men were basically knocked out. You had General Manager Nick Aldis, you had a bunch of officials all run down, come out and check on both men. We also had an appearance from Sami Zayn. Now, recently on TV, they've been teasing some kind of collaboration here with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens implying to Sami that, if you help me win the title, I can help you win the Rumble. Make sure that it's you and I for the championship at WrestleMania. So, obviously, Sami's been conflicted. He's been accidentally attacking some baby faces like Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. So, we didn't know what Sami was going to be out here to do. But all his role basically was just checking on Kevin Owens. And Sami didn't get physical. He didn't attack Cody. He didn't do anything like that. He was just out there basically checking on his friend. And he continued to check on him as you get back in the ring. Kevin Owens, he does eventually get back up. He tries to hit a stunner on Cody, but then Cody hits him with a crossroads. And as Cody tries to climb up the ladder, Kevin Owens pulls him down, and the two of them start brawling on the floor. At this point, you see Kevin Owens' face. He is busted open. I'm not sure how he got busted open, but somehow he did. He was bleeding. Not crazy. Not like the level of Drew McIntyre bleeding at Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood last year, but he had a little bit of blood. And Cody just started pummeling him, just punching him over and over again. They get up on the announce table. Kevin Owens hits Cody with a low blow. There's another ladder bridge, this one between the announce table and the ring apron. Kevin Owens sets up to hit Cody with a package pile driver, but then Cody reverses it and hits Kevin with an Alabama slam off the announce table, slams him right onto that ladder bridge, and the way Kevin Owens just folded up looked like his neck snapped into. The way it looked visually was brutal, and Owens was down for the count. And the way they shot this, they shot it in a far shot, so you could get a shot of Sami on the floor checking on Kevin Owens while Cody Rhodes is in the ring slowly climbing the ladder. So the way they did this, it kind of teased that something crazy was going to happen here, some kind of swerve, but nope. Cody climbed up. He retrieved both the big logo belt and the classic Winged Eagle Championship belt, pulled both down, and he got the win. So Sami, again, didn't play a factor here, but Kevin Owens, my God, after taking that spot and they showed him bloody-faced, damn near unconscious, Sami tending to him, and Cody comes over with the championship posing over him. Such a great babyface this man is, taunting his broken opponent. But hey, I got no problem with it. This was a really great match. One of the better matches of the year so far. We are only a month into the year, but still one of the better matches of the year so far, and a very strong, defiant win for Cody Rhodes. And after this match and after the Rumble match, still no Randy Orton. So that pile driver that Kevin Owens gave him, that very weak pile driver, was way more devastating than any of us could have thought, because Randy Orton is still out of action. And then finally, we get to the men's Royal Rumble match. This crazy match, which is interesting to look back on, because in a way, this was the tale of two Rumble matches here, because the first half, you had a lot of undercard, mid-card guys mixing it up, and then somewhere in the middle is when the bigger names started to come out, which I appreciated, because I was expecting everyone to come out at the very end, like we've seen in past Rumbles, where they hype how, oh, this is a stacked Rumble match, a lot of big names, a lot of main eventers in this match, yet everyone comes out at like number 22, 23, 25, 26. We had a few bigger names come out a little bit earlier, but once that happened, you saw the field clear out a little bit, and some of those mid-card, undercard guys started to go away, and the ring was filled with a lot of big main event names, which was pretty cool to see. But for the match itself, we started things out with Rey Mysterio and Penta. Penta recently debuted on Raw. He's had the red carpet rolled out for him. He's been booked very well so far on TV, and this was a pretty big spot for him, going at it with Rey Mysterio. Chad Gable eventually came out. Carmelo Hayes was at number 4. Number 5, we had Santos Escobar. Number 6 was Otis, which, I mean, it is what it is. I'll kind of reference that a little bit later. Number 7, Braun Breaker, who cleared house, was chopping everyone in half with the spear, took out and eliminated Carmelo Hayes. So long, Carmelo Hayes. Not having the best of luck over on SmackDown right now. Melo don't miss. He's been missing a lot lately. But at number 8 was supposed to be Akira Tozawa, who was walking out, but walking past him was Carmelo Hayes, who was going to the back. And Carmelo Hayes clobbered Tozawa in the back of his head with a forearm and laid him out. And apparently Carmelo Hayes has a steel plate in his arm, because this knocked out Tozawa something fierce, to the point where Adam Pearce and a bunch of officials had to escort Tozawa back into gorilla position, and he couldn't make it to the ring. So they follow them, taking him to the back to the gorilla position, all one shot. Triple H is back there, and Tozawa can't compete. This one blow to the back of the head was so devastating from Carmelo Hayes that he could not compete here. So Triple H is saying, we need somebody to go out there to replace him. And he looks over at Twitch streamer IShowSpeed, who, of course, him along with Kai Cenat, they were there. They were streaming the show. I was tuning in a little bit to what Kai was doing. You know, I like Kai Cenat. He's pretty entertaining. IShowSpeed, not so much. But Triple H saw him and had him go to the ring. And he got his music, and he got in the ring, and he even got an elimination. He helped Braun Breaker eliminate Otis in this match. And he was posing and posing. And then Braun Breaker ran the ropes, built up a head of steam, and completely annihilated IShowSpeed with a spear. If you've never seen this man, come on. Someone that size getting speared by an intense Braun Breaker at that speed, you knew he was going to go down. And then, of course, Breaker deadlifts him up, tosses him out, but Otis catches him. But then Otis just kind of dumps him overhead onto the announce table, and he was eliminated. A little bit later on, I saw a video that he was interacting with Logan Paul backstage, and he had a pretty big gash on his leg. So, hey man, you go out there, you risk injury like that. So, it sucks. And as I look again at the post-show, I now see also that it is now confirmed that, never mind. I thought it was saying that Charlotte was confirmed to face Tiffany Stratton. I saw Charlotte Flair's name and Tiffany Stratton's name in WrestleMania. So I thought they confirmed that, but they did not, in fact, confirm that. So it will happen. There's no way Charlotte's going to pick Rhea. At least she shouldn't. So Charlotte and Tiffany will happen. It just has not been confirmed yet. But back to the Rumble here. IShowSpeed got murdered by Braun Breaker. Respect to him for going out there. It wasn't necessary, but it is what it is. At number 9, we had Sheamus. Number 10 was Jimmy Uso. 11, Andrade. And then number 12 was Jacob Fatu, who had himself a nice little run in this match. He took out a bunch of people like Ray, Gable, Andrade. We had a little bit of a tease for Breaker and Fatu, but nothing really came from that. Out of number 13 was Ludwig Kaiser, who did not rush into the ring. He took his time. Eventually he got in there, but he was quickly dumped out by Penta. So, thanks for coming, Kaiser. Number 14 was The Miz. Number 15, to the surprise of no one, was TNA World Champion Joe Hendry people have been predicting his surprise appearance in this match for months now, and he came out, got a big reaction. The fans were singing along. I kind of expected a bigger reaction, but it was still a pretty big reaction. They were into him, especially when he was interacting with certain people like Roman Reigns. They were into it. Speaking of Roman came out at number 16. And Roman took out Miz, took out Sheamus. As I mentioned, there was some interaction with him and Joe Hendry, but he ended up spearing Joe and took him out. So, hey, TNA, the world champion, got taken out only by one of the biggest stars in the company, Roman Reigns. So, not a bad showcase for him. He wasn't in there that long, but still. We had Braun Breaker and Roman interact, and Braun ended up spearing Roman Reigns, which was fitting because Braun Breaker's spear is far more brutal and devastating looking than Roman's spear has ever been. But despite that, Roman still managed to eliminate Braun Breaker. He sold the spear. He did sell like he got the wind knocked out of him, but he did eliminate Braun, and Braun Breaker did not look too happy about that. At number 7, before number 17 came out, Jacob Fatu ended up eliminating JEY Uso. Penta was laid out in the corner, so we had Jacob and Roman going at it one-on-one for a little bit until out came number 17, which was Drew McIntyre, who, of course, went right after Roman Reigns. The two of them were going at it, and then Drew ended up working along with Fatu for a little bit. Finn Balor came out to the new awful Judgment Day theme music. So when that music played and out came Finn Balor, it looked very weird. I don't know why they didn't just play his theme music. It was very awkward, but whatever. Number 19 was Shinsuke Nakamura, and in between here, Balor ended up eliminating Penta, who was basically the Iron Man in the men's Rumble. I think Roman was out there for a while too, but Penta, I think, was out there a little bit longer. I think his total time was about 42 minutes. I think Roman's was about 30 or so minutes. So, a good spot for Penta. Would have liked to have seen him go a little bit deeper, but it is what it is. Number 20 was JEY Uso, and then number 21 was the returning AJ Styles. Very cool to see AJ back on TV and be in this match. Honestly, AJ and Joe Hendry were like the two, I guess, and IShowSpeed were the biggest surprises in this match. We didn't have any big returning legends. We didn't have any NXT people show up in this match. Now, on one hand, you could attribute that to the fact that look at how many big heavy hitter main event names were in this match. You had Roman, you had Cena, you had Punk, you had Rollins, you had McIntyre, you had AJ Styles coming back, you had JEY Uso out there. You had all these big names, so it probably felt like they didn't need that. But on the other hand, they had spots for people like The Miz and Otis and Akira Tozawa, who was replaced by IShowSpeed. So they could have put some other surprises in here and replaced those names out who clearly had no chance of winning. And that's kind of the thing. I mean, obviously, look, they're full-time guys. They're on the road every single week. So I get it. Letting them come out there and have a little bit of a showcase in a match like this is fun. Having IShowSpeed come out there, I know, made for a little fun moment. Braun killing him with that spear. But instead of kind of wasting spots like that on people who everyone knows has no chance of winning, when you already have people in the match who have no chance of winning, if you can reduce that and replace some of them with some names that'll pop the crowd and make for some cool interactions and moments in the match, I don't know, I think that'd be better. But it didn't bother me, especially as the match went on when so much cool shit was happening. So, number 22 was Braun Strowman, who, of course, after getting completely wrecked by Jacob Fatu at Saturday night's main event a week ago, he came out here and he was the one who eliminated Fatu, and Fatu was pissed off. He was clearing the announce table. He was throwing around chairs and all that. So he was pretty pissed off. Number 23 was John Cena, making his final ever Royal Rumble appearance. Very, very cool moment for him. He came out, and as he was entering the ring, he went past Jacob Fatu, and the camera kind of focused on Fatu's face as he was looking back at the ring and looking at Cena. I'm sure that was not done by accident, so we'll see if they come back to that at a later time. But in the ring, Cena took out Strowman and Balor. And number 24, well, before number 24, there was a moment where Roman Reigns and John Cena had a face-off, and then as they were facing off, not touching, the countdown started, and number 24 was CM Punk. So Punk got in the ring, and now it's Punk, Roman, and Cena all facing off. And then at number 25, out came Seth Rollins to interrupt the party. He came out there, immediately went after CM Punk. And then Roman and Cena started mixing it up. You had all these guys mixing it up here. And then number 26, as Michael Cole said, just a complete buzzkill, was Dominic Mysterio. He came out and killed the vibe immediately. Number 27 was Sami Zayn. Number 28 was Damian Priest, who ended up eliminating Dominic to a huge pop. Sami also. I was certain that there would be some kind of, like, even after what happened in the championship match, I thought, well, Kevin Owens might drag his ass back out here and eliminate Sami and kind of put the blame on Sami for what happened there. You know, like, hey, he came out there to help me. All you didn't do anything, you know, kind of mentality. But maybe they'll tell that story later, because they didn't tell it here. Instead, Sami got eliminated, but he got eliminated by Jey Uso. And Sami didn't look too happy about that. And considering that Jey ended up winning, we'll see how that story plays itself out in the future. But number 29 was LA Knight. By this point, I knew there weren't going to be any more surprises, because once Sami came out, I knew the final three. 28 was Priest, 29 was LA Knight, and then number 30 ended up being Logan Paul. So, very anticlimactic number 30, but, you know, it is what it is. Knight ended up pushing Logan Paul off of the apron, and Paul leaped from the apron onto the announce table. He eventually made his way over on the barricade and then leaped from there onto the steel steps. He was just lying in wait. So, sequence of events here was LA Knight eliminated Damian Priest. Then AJ Styles eliminated LA Knight. And then as AJ Styles was setting up to hit a Styles clash on someone in the ring, he springboards onto the ropes, and Logan Paul yanks his legs out from under him and eliminates AJ Styles. Now we get back in the ring, and there is a face-off between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. The fans are into it. They go at it for a little bit, exchange blows, going back and forth. They're fighting near the ropes. And then CM Punk gets up and eliminates both men. Both men are out of the Rumble. Then Logan Paul comes up from behind and eliminates CM Punk. Now Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, all three out on the floor, completely pissed off at each other. And here's where the big highlight of the match and the big highlight of the night happened. At this point, the biggest highlight of the night came from three men who were already eliminated from the match. But whatever this was might have some kind of WrestleMania implications here. So, Roman and Punk were jaw-jacking. Roman was yelling at Punk about what just happened. And then Rollins comes over and stomps Roman's head onto the floor. And then Punk and Rollins, they start to brawl with each other. You have officials and referees all trying to separate them, push them apart. They get Punk separated away from Rollins. And then Rollins comes back over and gives Roman another stomp, this time onto the steel steps. And so then Punk and Rollins start to brawl again, and then Rollins is eventually pushed away. Rollins leaves, pissed off, up the rampway. He's gone. And then Punk circles back around, looks down at Roman, looks over at Paul Heyman, who was out there. Paul Heyman is tending to his fallen tribal chief, and Punk kind of looks at him. Of course, we know about the favor between the two of them, so I'm not sure what that implies here. But that was the chain of events that took place, and it was pretty chaotic to see all of it play itself out here. No idea what this is setting up, no idea what this is leading to. The first thought in my mind is we might be setting up for a triple threat at WrestleMania with these three men, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. One would think that because all three, clearly the issue with Seth and Roman is not over. They had some interaction. Hell, Seth gave him 2 stomps, one on the floor, one on the steps. Punk and Roman, there's still something there. Punk and Rollins were brawling, so their issue is clearly not done. Could all these men be in the chamber match potentially? I wouldn't be shocked. Roman, Cena, Punk, Rollins, even though it's for the SmackDown Championship, I could see all 4 of those men find themselves in the Elimination Chamber match in March. But as far as WrestleMania and all 3 of their spots there, I mean, you could break this off into singles matches. You could do Punk and Rollins in a rematch at Mania. You could do Punk and Roman. You could do or Roman and Rollins. Or you could just throw them all in one match, do a triple threat. I don't know, but it definitely sets something up here. And in the most unlikely of scenarios, the final 3 in this match were Logan Paul, John Cena, and Jey Uso. Of course, Logan Paul got taken out by John Cena, and it came down to Cena and Jey Uso in a pretty wild, very high energy final 2 here. Literally could have gone either way. I saw some people like, oh, it's so obvious now that John Cena is about to win. They should have had it be someone else in there instead of Jey. And I'm like, I wouldn't do that. Heading into this match, Jey Uso was definitely a dark horse pick in my opinion. And as it was going on, I was looking at things and I'm like, I don't know. I love Cena. I'm all for this final run. I'm all for him getting the story of going after championship number 17. But 1, I don't know if I want to see that at WrestleMania. And 2, I really don't know if I can stomach John Cena and Charlotte Flair both winning Rumble matches on the same night. So at this point in the match, as things were getting down the stretch, I found myself kind of pulling for Jey Uso. And he ended up knocking Cena off the apron, and he got the win. Jey Uso wins the men's 2025 Royal Rumble match. Cena gets back in the ring, swings Jey around, he hugs him, shakes his hand, raises his arm, gives him the endorsement. And Jey, it's a full-on celebration here. And then after the show, they go into the post-show. The commentary team, McAfee, Cole, Wade Barrett, they were all yeeting on the announce table. They get in the ring and celebrate with him. Jey brought his son in there. Big old party. So, huge moment for Jey Uso. He outlasted a field of names like John Cena, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, all these people. And it is Jey Uso who emerged victorious, to what I guess was the complete and total shock of some people. But I really don't understand why so many people are this surprised. Jey Uso, whether you like him or not, I mean, he's not the best in-ring performer. Many people have pointed that out. Many people know this. But this man constantly comes out every single week and gets one of the biggest, loudest reactions of everybody on the show. He has a superstar, a megastar level entrance. He, more so than all that stuff, it's like, well, what kind of money is he bringing in? He's one of the top merch sellers in the entire company. When they debuted on Netflix, there were reports coming out of that debut on Netflix show that people from Netflix were really impressed with Jey Uso and the reaction he got and the presentation that he got coming out there. All these little signs were all pointing in this as a possibility here. And then, especially after Jey lost to Gunther at Saturday night's main event, he came out on the next Raw just a week ago, cutting that promo on the announce table where he said he knows he can beat Gunther and he knows he can do it. He can be world champion. He's going to go to the Rumble and get the win there. It happened. So, to me, this was not a crazy shock. I was surprised they actually had the balls to do it, but it was not a complete out of left field type of surprise here. And certain people, of course, the hyperbole, oh, this is the worst Rumble finish. This is one of the worst moves. Oh, this was such a dumb finish and all that. The Rumble match is a match that had previous winners of Batista in 2014, Roman Reigns in 2015. We've had Triple H win in 2016. We had Alberto Del Rio win. Believe me, this is far from being the worst outcome of this match. Could they have gone a different direction? Could they have gone with CM Punk? Could they have gone with Cena? Sure. But they wanted to go with someone new. You know, unlike the Women's Rumble, they actually went with someone new. Just because you don't think he's the best wrestler in the world, there's a lot of people who still love him. You know, they get into him. He is a draw to a certain level or not, you know. He has resonated with people. Some people just don't get it. And that's fine. Enough people do get it. They like Jey Uso. The company clearly really likes Jey Uso. And all I can say is the people who were mad about Jey Uso winning the Rumble, I cannot wait to see their reactions when this man very likely is going to beat Gunther and win the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. You think it was bad tonight? Wait till you get to Mania, night one. I know they always talk about, oh, the winner of the Rumble goes to the main event of WrestleMania. I genuinely do not know if Jey Uso and Gunther is going to go on last on WrestleMania. If it does, it would be night one, obviously. But depending on what they do with people like Roman and all that, I don't know if that match would end night one. Definitely don't see it ending night two. But I don't know if it would end night one. You know what? If they build it up enough, if they build it up big enough and there's enough hype behind it, you know, WrestleMania is 77 days away as of this recording. So between now and then, if they want to hype it up to be a huge deal, they very easily could close out night one and would lead more into the idea that Jey Uso would win. I think the celebration was huge tonight. Look, just wait until he's yeeting with the World Heavyweight Championship at the end of WrestleMania night one. That could very well happen. And hopefully tonight proved to people you cannot count this out. People who think this was a waste because he's just going to lose to Gunther again. You know, you just don't learn. You didn't learn heading into this match and you're not going to learn then. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, between the two Rumble matches, the men's Rumble, far more entertaining for me personally. I liked how the second half had all the big stars going at it. I loved the stuff with Punk and Rollins and Roman. Looking forward to seeing how they set that up. And the final two with Jey Uso and John Cena. I thought that was very entertaining. And Jey getting the win. You know, hey, I'm not overly thrilled with Jey Uso winning. I wasn't calling for him to get the win here, you know. And if he's going to challenge Gunther at WrestleMania, there are other people who I probably would have preferred to see Gunther in the ring with over Jey Uso. But, you know, watching this show and seeing the crowd so invested in Jey Uso the way they are, it's hard not to get behind that and hard not to look at that and go along with it. And if this is the story they want to go with, all I can ask as a fan is that they make it interesting, they make it entertaining, and they make me invested. You know, the people are behind Jey Uso now. Will they be behind him all the way up to WrestleMania? We'll see. But that is it for me going all through this entire show, dissecting this Rumble pay-per-view, top to bottom. Gotta give it a thumbs up. Probably like a B+, B-, B area type of show. It was very good. Very strong Rumble show. 2 good Rumble matches, with the men's one being better than the women's. Probably the best men's Rumble match since 2020. Not anywhere near as good as the 2021, but probably the best one since then. And really good tag match. Really, really good ladder match. And that's it. We're on the road to WrestleMania. So we will see how the WrestleMania card will take shape over the next several months. We have Elimination Chamber coming up March 1st. And then all roads lead to there. So until then, take care. Next time I'm back here talking to you guys will probably be for some AEW stuff. Of course, AEW Grand Slam in Australia. Whenever that show airs, I'm sure I'll see it and talk about it and share my thoughts with you guys. And then we'll have Elimination Chamber. We'll have Revolution. Anything else in between that I feel like talking about before we get to WrestleMania, we will do it. So until then, thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard, like what you saw, hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below, and of course follow me on X/Twitter at DerekJ Speaks. Until next time, thank you. Check you later.